OJ Simpson died on Friday. I don't think there's Thursday, one of them days. Anyway, I don't really have anything new, obviously, to say about it. I did a television show. It was Thursday he died because I did a TV show talking about OJ. And, buddy, that wasn't fun. Like, I had this man who was asking the questions, and he say something to the effect of the OJ Simpson trial is when Americans lost faith in the criminal justice system. And he didn't ask that question to me. He asked it to the other lady. I think she was a Latina lady. Like, he asked her. And then I forget what his next question was for me. And I was like, hey, baby, we got to take a 20 right here. We need a TV timeout. Like, it may be the day that white people lost faith in it. But like, I mean, I didn't go all the way there. But I wanted to be like, partner, you ain't never heard of no Emmett Till? Like, you know, African American. How about this? It was just Rodney King 3 years before that or 4 years before that. All the same. I heard that and I was just like, oh, man, that's right. I forgot what a racially charged incident this was, even while knowing what a racially charged incident was. Like, it was just amazing that somebody, it felt amazing to me that somebody would say such a thing about that trial and about that moment. But the reality of it with OJ is the OJ Simpson trial really came down to whatever you wanted it to come down to. Like, it is a significant historical moment in America. Like, somebody sent a tweet to me about it. And they say if you go to the wiki page for the year 1995, that he was stunned that the picture would be of OJ Simpson and not something with Timothy McVeigh or something to do with like the Bosnian War, because he did not think that the Simpson trial was of the same level of historical importance. And I'm not saying that the Simpson trial was of greater historical importance than those, but I will say they are of a similar level of historical importance, at least in the way the United States operates. So there's a book by a dude, I think his name is Joseph Campbell. It's called 1995, The Year the Future Began. Very, very interesting book. And it makes the point that 1995 is kind of an inflection point in history akin to the year 1968. And the point that they make about the Simpson trial that is very, very important is that the Simpson trial is effectively the birth of cable news. That there was such a demand for the Simpson trial in so many different corners that it led to there being enough interest to give basically proof of concept of the idea that people will sit around and watch all this news. That is what the OJ Simpson trial ultimately gave us. And I don't think we're better off for it. But that is, if nothing, that may be the most historically significant part about it. In the end, I mean, like, on the surface, at least, it's just kind of a salacious tabloid case. It just touched on enough things that brought in enough people that generated enough interest that it could sustain years and years and years. I mean, years of news. I don't want to say years and years and years, but like, I mean, we had a solid good, I want to call it like 18 months or somewhere in there where we were getting information about this trial. It went on and on and on, and people truly could not get enough of it. But that was all for stuff that, by and large, didn't matter, right? I mean, obviously, how the King trial and the LaTosha Harlan case and everything else, how those things tie into it, they certainly matter in constructing the narrative. In the end, it's not like that trial changed anything about Los Angeles. It didn't change anything, from what I could tell, really, about the way that business was handled down there, right? It wasn't that. It was just something that really had a lot of people's interest and then birthed this media industry. But what happened after with Simpson, I think, is something, well, it's the thing that I wanted to talk about, because I do think that if I wanted to say that I saw a certain measure, I don't even know if influence is the right way to put it, but this is, to me, where OJ Simpson was different than just about anybody I could think of that came before him. And I would say after him, but you'll clearly think of one person who transcends him on this. But anyway, what a shameless man. Just 100% without shame. None whatsoever. If you watched the OJ Made in America, the Ezra Edelman documentary that won the Academy Award for Best Director, for Best Documentary 10 years ago, and they showed a clip of OJ after he got acquitted. And hold on, let me start with this right here. Okay, this is an important thing to note as we go on. I am speaking and operating under the presumption that it is transparently obvious that he killed these people. I don't think there's really much room for argument here. I 100% believe that he killed those people. I also 100% believe that he should have been acquitted. My hot take about his acquittal is it's kind of sort of what makes America great when people talk about how great America is. And that is the case that if you are going to convict somebody, you damn sure better have all your ducks in a row. If you are going to send somebody to jail, you better be right. And them jokers showed up in there and they were not right. It amazes me that people come away from that trial and they had more blame for Johnny Cochran than they did for Mark Furman. Like somehow they did not understand that maybe that jury wouldn't have voted that way if the police department in the city that they know better than I or you know, that maybe if the police department in that city had been acting right, then they wouldn't have blown this because they would have had a measure of credibility. The blame always goes to black people on this and never has gone to the slew of white people who dropped the ball, not just at that trial, but also in the decades leading into that led to the perfect storm that made it basically impossible to convict that man, right? They blew it. It happens, okay? However, yeah, I think he killed those people. And so in the documentary, they got the clip of him coming back home after he got acquitted. And he's in there, he's talking that find the real killer shit and screaming at the television and everything else and da. I'm like, wow, this man is utterly shameless. He is committed to the bit. And after that, OJ Simpson really believed, like this blows my mind. He really believed that he was going to get acquitted for killing those people. And everybody thought he killed those people. And he was just going to come back to the old neighborhood and his old spots. And everybody's going to be like, OJ, where you been, buddy? I miss you. There's something going on with you? No, he just thought he was going to go back to regular life. That is the most shameless thing that I can think of. He went and he moved out to Miami or to South Florida, which is, if you're going to be shameless somewhere, that's a great place to be shameless. And you look at all the stuff that he was doing to get money and the crazy media stuff he had to do. And you're just like, wow, not a dollop of shame whatsoever, right? And so then OJ, they sent that man to jail for 9 years for stealing his own shit. And come on, man. Y'all know that wasn't right. we can be, you might not care that it wasn't right because you don't care about OJ Simpson. But come on, man. Y'all know that wasn't right. They gave that man 9 years for stealing his own shit. Come on, man. It was like they got to get back on OJ. We understand this. And then OJ got out and OJ was shameless. And the ultimate example of his shamelessness, obviously, was that Twitter account. Sean, I don't know how much time you spent with the hello, Twitter world.
It's funny how you were talking about how shameless he's been, and my first immediate thought was, yeah, his Twitter is the prime evidence of the consistency of his shamelessness. It's just so in your face, and it's just ugly.
Trolling, straight trolling. Like, Antonio Brown, I have a message for you that I got from some of the great legal minds. It's whatever happens, do not tell the police, don't say anything to the police. And I'm just like, oh my God, he's really doing it. Now, look, there's a whole nother discussion to be had about the fact that a lot of people have gotten away with murder in this country. And this is the one that we really, like, people really still get mad about for whatever reason. This is the one they couldn't have let go of, right? There's a discussion to be had about that one that at times I think made the trolling entertaining to some people when he would do these things. But it really just tied back to he has absolutely no shame about any of this, right? Like you go on Cameron's show and he's talking about, oh no, don't confess. It's like, yo, bro, you're really doing this. But here's the thing. As a country, we caught up to OJ as it relates to shamelessness. Like, look, man, I don't really care about your politics. I don't really care who you vote for. All I'm saying is the presumptive nominee for a major political party has a criminal trial that starts today. And at no point was that criminal trial going to be enough to make that man not run. Because if anybody has even less shame than OJ Simpson, it's that guy. and he could be voted president. And I know that he could be voted president because the shit has happened before. Okay? So you go look around and just see, like, shame ain't a thing no more. Like, there's a real question to be asked, because the greatest weapon that Martin Luther King used in his work was shame. And the whole point was that we could make these people ashamed of themselves and then they will suddenly act right. No, that don't work no more. I don't know what would happen to King if he tried that now, because shame just seems to be so non-existent. Where 1995, OJ Simpson seemed like the most shameless man on earth. 2024, OJ Simpson died is just another shameless man in a great ecosystem that is built by shamelessness. He, in the end, was one of us. We were in the same. The level of shamelessness got to be so bad that it reached a point where the impossible seemed to happen. That most people didn't have room to judge OJ Simpson. And I say rest in peace because I don't need him raising hell nowhere else, right? Like, I guess rest in peace, right? I mean, I think ultimately OJ Simpson was an empty, soulless man. But he's an empty, soulless man who was loved by other people. And you have to, like, their loss is a loss, no matter what it is that I think about that man. But I ain't calling people killers. I want to be clear about that. I know the difference between what is most important and what is not. But I'm going to tell you, that shamelessness, it ain't as many people with room to judge him on that as I would like to think. The NBA play-in tournament kicks off this week, and there's no better time to get in on the playoff action and win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks, as you and the world's best players take the game to a new level during basketball's postseason. You can now win up to 100 times your money on Prize Picks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000 with basketball, hockey, and baseball entries today on Prize Picks, America's #1 fantasy sports app. So make sure you go to prizepicks.com/Bomani and use code Bomani for a first deposit match up to $100. That's prizepicks.com/Bomani. Prize Picks, daily fantasy sports made easy.